In Lesson 6, you learned how to document the process flow of a use case using an activity diagram or a system sequence diagram. A system sequence diagram identified individual messages coming from the external actor into the system. The messages included in the sequence diagram represented forms or input screens to pass information into and out of the system. Using a system sequence diagram is a good starting point to identify the various screens and forms that may be needed for the user interface for a particular use case. So this figure here is the system sequence diagram for the Create Customer Account use case, which you saw in the previous lesson. So this figure shows 6 separate data flows across the system boundary. So part of the user interface design process is to decide how to design the screens for these 6 data flows. You could design 6 separate screens. However, notice that there are only 3 input data flows and 3 responses reflecting the information that was entered. It might be possible to design the 3 input screens and use those same screens to display the output of the same fields after the system updates internal files. These kinds of decisions are exactly the ones that need to be made during user interface design. So let's develop a first draft of an input screen for Create New Customer. So the first step is to verify the data that is passed. So the place to verify the data is to look at the domain model to see the attributes of the appropriate classes. So in this case, we'll need the customer class. Observing the domain model, you can see that there are 4 fields that require input. So the name, mobile phone, home phone, and email address. And notice that there are 2 other classes, the address and the account, that will be used to verify data for the other messages in this use case. So this is the first draft of the customer screen. So it appears that this screen with some additional messages and buttons can be used both for inputting data and for displaying the data as it exists within the system.